Think we're live, Jamie.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Is it up?
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, I just muted everything.
Okay.
Ain't nobody got time for that. All right. Well, hi. I am there looking like a complete loser.
No.
Oh no, there I am. There I am.
You're good.
Oh, sorry. Goodness gracious. Technology is a lot this evening. It truly is.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Let me get this ready. Okay. Hi everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely evening. Oh man. Shari's gone. She's a goner. So as you can tell, we are not together this month. And the reason for that is because of my play. I am not able to travel. But many of you know I have gone on quite a bit this last week. So my brain is not working. But this is our monthly Q&A with Shari and sponsored by Evenflo. Many of you come in all the time for this. We get a lot of, repeat, which is great. It's wonderful. But for those of you who are new or maybe don't really know who Shari is, I will let her give a little intro. And that will explain why we are friends and why we work together. So knock yourself out.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. So hi everybody. So happy to be back again for our monthly Q&A. I am Shari Creso, and Jamie and I have known each other for a little over 7 years, and I know that for sure now because I went back to look at the footage and I have it recorded. And we started working together, talking about all kinds of things having to do with parenting, and now we've been doing these Q&As. And my background, I've been working with moms and babies for over 25 years. I stopped now at 25 years. I'm not going any higher than that. I was a registered nurse. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. Labor and delivery nurse, a certified nurse midwife. I had a practice. I delivered over 600 babies in the practice. And I've been an IBCLC for over 10 years now. And so I've been taking care of them in every capacity, but specifically here on our Q&As, we're talking about breastfeeding and pumping, although other topics do come up, and we are very happy to answer whatever you'd like to hear. So just happy to be back with you guys. I know a lot of you because I've seen you, and just some of you are new. So hi, nice to meet you. And by the way, Jamie's got his wine. I've got my watermelon drink because if I was to drink right now, I would not be able to answer these questions. I'll save it for after the show.
It's for after the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you go ski. All right. So how this is going to work is we have a slew of questions that were left on Facebook. We will take a few live ones as well, but make sure you are liking this video. We love all the heart things. We love everything about it. And by participating and, share it with your friends, tag your friends, whatever. It's just about getting the information out there. But by participating, by liking the video, by doing the heart, whatever, heart eye emoji, whatever it is this week, you will be entered to win one of these.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have breast pumps in my apartment. So, shall we do this?
Let's do it. We've got a lot to cover tonight.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa has a question. I'm currently dealing with an oversupply and it's getting painful. Where should I begin to try to regulate my supply? My 3-month-old is exclusively breastfed, and I pump twice a day after her morning and night feeding for 12 minutes.
Okay. So one of the questions I guess I have about this is she's describing more milk than what her baby's actually eating, which is oversupply. That's the term for it, is when you're making more than what your baby's eating, which can be really uncomfortable. And although most moms think, oh, well, more must be better, especially when the biggest concern is usually that I'm not making enough, oversupply can be a big issue. It can cause mastitis. It can cause plugged ducts. It can cause low weight gain in your baby and gut gassiness and fussiness. And I guess one of the things that really struck me with this question is about the idea that she's pumping twice a day after the baby eats and stimulating more milk. So I think the one thing that I would, and when people, and of course if you're exclusively breastfeeding and you're trying to store up some pump milk, you're going to need to know, when do I actually do that pumping? So it's not about when you're doing it, but how much extra milk you're pumping in addition to all the feedings you're doing. So if you're exclusively breastfeeding, and however many times a day that is, no more than one extra feeding with the pump in addition to all the breastfeeding that you're doing. So right there, I would just cut out one of those 2 pumpings that she's doing per day, because I find that if you pump more than once a day for the extra milk, you can end up with an oversupply. And typically the best time to do it is like first thing in the morning, when you have the most amount of milk, latch the baby onto one side, put the pump on the other, and you'll probably get the entire amount that you need. And what I'm saying, when I say extra feeding, I'm talking 3 to 4 ounces extra per day. If you can't get it all at one sitting, you can spread it out throughout the day. You could pump an ounce, and then a couple hours later, you could pump another ounce, but it's no more than 3 to 4 extra ounces in addition to breastfeeding.
Very good.
Is that clear? Did that make sense?
It did to me.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Chantal has a question. I will be exclusively pumping for my baby on the way, and I'm looking for suggestions on how to increase my supply or just keep it stable to prolong our pumping journey. I stopped early with the last 2 out of frustration and being discouraged.
And she's going to be exclusively pumping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this goes in the other direction. One's talking about oversupply. She's talking about making sure she's getting enough from her pump and maintaining her supply, which is actually a really important point for anyone who's using a pump, because breast pumps are just not as efficient as the baby. So it's not going to be like the baby. And on top of the fact that it's harder to get a letdown and it's harder to get milk out with the pump than it is with the baby, the pump doesn't cry. The pump doesn't get hungry. The pump won't wake you up. The pump won't, interrupt.
The pump won't wake you up unless it miraculously comes on by itself at night.
Exactly. Maybe pumps should come with a little crying speaker inside of them to remind us to pump, because it's very easy to put it off. It's very easy, especially if you're going back to work and you're busy and taking breaks and even waking up during the night.
You know what? This is so off topic.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. You said like something that would remind you to pump. So my stage manager at the theater, she is a mom of twins, cute little boys that are like 2.5. They're adorable. But every day at the theater, she has this like great stuff that she's made in a crock pot, and I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. And she's like, that's one of the best pieces of advice I was given as a parent, was cook in a crock pot, because that way the smell will remind you to eat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
not just like go, parent, and you forget to cook dinner.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Crock pot knowledge.
There you go. It reminded you. And you know what? Good advice. That's very good advice, because you do need to eat, especially when you're nursing. But back to the point of what do I do with the pump? So first of all, it's important to make sure you're maintaining your pumping schedule so that you stay committed to staying on the schedule, emptying your breast frequently. The common misconception is that maybe I'll just wait till I feel nice and full, putting off the pumping because you feel kind of empty and you're thinking, all right, it's not worth it right now. Let me wait till I'm a little fuller, then I'll go pump. It actually has the opposite effect on your milk supply. So what you want to do is you want to keep your breast empty as much as possible. When you start to fill up, it's sending a signal to your brain telling your body to make less milk. So by waiting, you're working against your body. By pumping more frequently, even if you don't feel as full, even if you don't get as much out, it's stimulating your body to make more milk. And so it's more important to pump more frequently for less amounts, which will equal the same total amount throughout the day. And then the most important thing is making sure you know how to use your pump, because this is the part that we talk about. I mean, Jamie, we talk about this all the time. Like every single month we discuss this, and I work with moms every day over on my page and in person that don't know how to use a breast pump. And even lactation consultants who do not know how to use a breast pump. I mean, like the majority of people, they see all these controls and all these settings, and I got the pump here, all these little buttons, and like, what do you do with these? I mean, do you just like turn it all the way up? Because our minds would tell us that maybe it's just like, if you just make it as strong as possible, it'll suck that milk right out. And it'll actually have the opposite effect, because strong suction can cause pain. And it's not actually how your milk flows. And pain will actually inhibit the milk release or the letdown. So you don't want to turn it all the way up. You want to stimulate a letdown the way a baby would. And, you know, it's been such an issue that I decided to make a video, and I was showing it on my page last week, and I'm going to play it for everybody because we talk about multiple letdowns all the time.
Multiple letdowns.
Multiple letdowns.
Currently my dating life in Denver.
Multiple letdowns. And, you know, and the other term we're using for it too is milk release, because lots of moms hear the word letdown and they think, I don't feel any letdown, so I must not be having one. You don't have to feel the letdown. But you can see the milk release, and that's the letdown. So I'm kind of using it interchangeably right now, and you'll hear that in the video too. But I'm going to show you this video that will go over a very simple 3-stage pumping method that I'm going to teach you to use your controls. And you're going to need a pump that has independent speed and suction controls, which is one of the features that we always say are one of the most important features on a pump. And we'll come back and we'll talk about the other important features, but this one is really important, and I'm going to show you the video. So hold on a second while I use my technology here.
That's one of the fun things about this app thing that we use, is that we can put photos up and play videos and make it like much more, not necessarily interactive because you're not doing anything, but it's much more engaging. You know, we can show like examples better.
Yes, totally. Okay, let's see here. Breastfeeding moms know that pumping takes time and lots of commitment. I have a secret to share that's going to help you get a lot more milk in a lot less time. The first thing you're going to need is a pump that lets you control your speed and suction independently, putting you in control. Start with the pump turned all the way up on speed and low down on suction. This will simulate what the baby does when the baby starts off at the breast to get a milk release or a letdown. Once the milk starts coming out, what you're going to do with your dials is turn your speed down while turning your suction up enough to feel it and not feel pain. Once you see the milk stop flowing, that's when you want to stimulate that second milk release or letdown. This is where it gets good. Turn your speed all the way back up again while leaving your suction exactly where it is. Continue to pump with the speed and the suction turned up until you see the milk releasing or the letdown start one more time. After you see that happen, turn your speed back down and again, repeat. You can stimulate a second, a third, even a fourth release of milk. This is how you maximize the amount that you get out and how you empty the breast as much as possible.
Am I still, my audio is off.
Oh, you're on now.
Oh,
now,
yay, there I am.
Let me fix the screen. Hold on a second.
Technology.
That was good though, bringing that up big. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Are we back? Yes. Yeah. Awesome.
I think we are. Yes.
Yeah. Good. You know, and that right there, just, it's such a simple method of like just getting that third step in, you know, getting that third step. And if you try it and you don't have a lot of success the first time, keep playing with it. Remember, it's a machine and you need to condition yourself to respond to it. You know, there's more to this than just the suction and speed controls. This is a whole psychological aspect to it as well of relaxing and being able to release that oxytocin that causes that milk release. And it's not just about playing with the controls. So it does take some time and you do get used to it. And especially if you're not used, like if you haven't been making, you know, haven't created a second or a third or fourth letdown in the past, it may take a little bit of time for your body to adjust. But pay attention when your baby's eating. And you'll see that I didn't actually make up this method. All I did was create what the baby's doing. The baby made up the method. It's actually what the baby does. And we don't need to teach the baby how to create those multiple milk releases. They know what to do. They know exactly how to suck and how hard to suck and how fast to suck. And you'll see that they go from fast sucking to, you know, slow sucking and drinking. And you can do that with your pump.
Yeah. So Shari, this is one we talked about earlier today. This is Carrie. She left this, I think it was Friday when I put the post up. You and I talked about this afternoon on the phone.
Yeah.
It is very heavy. Normally we do not get into situations like this here. But we thought it was important. Carrie, I have an odd question. I'll be delivering in May, but sadly my baby won't live more than a few days at most. I'd love to donate milk, but I'm unsure about how I'll feel emotionally at that point. I'd love some tips on stopping my milk from coming in or stopping it once it does come in. Carrie, not to be weird, but I went and looked at your profile, and I cannot imagine what you and your family are going through right now. I feel very honored that you chose to share this on my page. And I, you know, from what little I was able to see on your profile, I think it's very, very admirable how you're choosing to handle this.
Yeah.
And I send you much, 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 much love. And we just thought this would be important to discuss something like this on here. So yeah.
Yeah, I echo everything that Jamie just said, Carrie, and I'm actually really happy that you posted, and you're a very strong person, and it's really important for other moms to hear you and for you to get the support that you need. So I'm just really glad that you felt comfortable and safe enough to post that here and that you're sharing it so that everybody can support you, because we're all sending you a ton of love. And me personally, I just want to say I want to be able to support you. So let's first to answer your question. You're not alone. sometimes we know these things ahead of time, as in your case, you're preparing, you're getting the information that you need. You're not alone in that there are other moms who do face this as well. And sometimes it's more of a surprise afterwards. It's a very sad truth, but it does happen. And and not only that, but this is in one situation, but there's also times where moms need to dry up their milk for other reasons. So I'm going to give you an answer that's about how to stop lactation, to basically wean your breasts, create that involution of the breast, so that you don't keep producing. One thing that's going to happen is, and this is for everybody, when your body, when you first deliver the baby, it's not the act of sucking at the breast that brings your milk in. And this is where there's some confusion about this. Literally, what causes the milk to come in, and that's why, moms who decide not to breastfeed will still get their milk. So in Carrie's situation where she won't be breastfeeding, or moms that just choose not to breastfeed for whatever reason, that it's what causes the milk to come in on the third or fourth day postpartum is actually a hormone shift that occurs when the placenta delivers. So your placenta comes out, obviously, with the baby, whether it's vaginal birth or C-section, placenta is going to come out. And when that happens, the hormone levels are going to drop, which causes prolactin levels to rise. Okay, this is a simple way to describe it. And because of that, your milk will come in a few days later. What you do with your milk after it comes in, all right, once that milk does come in, will determine if you'll continue to make milk. So we want to help you to suppress that, suppress your body from making too much, and how to deal with some of the engorgement that might happen because you're not actually feeding. Couple things that come to mind. One is I'd make sure that I had really good supportive bras. And wear the bras all the time, like right from the delivery on. Don't take the bra off, sleep with it on, keep it on all the time. Get something really comfortable, preferably something that doesn't have hooks in the back so you can sleep in it, something over your head that will stretch. You're not going to be binding the breast. There used to be a recommendation. We used to talk about this a long time ago, binding. That's not good, not too tight, because it can cause plug ducts and mastitis and discomfort. So it's more just about good supportive breasts that just don't have a ton of room to expand. Do as little stimulation to the nipple or to the breast as possible. That means when you're in the shower, don't wash the breast. Don't touch the nipples. Just let the water, keep your back to the shower. Let the water run on your back and over your front without too much stimulation. And then after that, there's other things that you can take. There used to be medication that we would give, and that was years ago. I remember when I was a nurse. This is a long time ago. But that medication is dangerous, and you don't want to take it. It's not good for you. It can cause some pretty severe side effects. But there are herbal things that you can try, like herbal teas and sage and peppermint. Earth Mama Angel Baby makes a no more milk tea that has all of these ingredients in it. I think it's sage and parsley and peppermint and hibiscus. There's like a few different herbs in it that are all known herbs that will help to decrease milk supply. And this is good for anybody. It's actually safe to use while you're breastfeeding too. So if you're starting to wean and you're trying to dry up your milk, you can use the no more milk tea, even at the end of the breastfeeding period. But for you, I would say start drinking that right away. As soon as you deliver, a few cups a day to start suppressing the milk and hopefully prevent it from coming in full force. Some other things that came to mind were things that we always tell moms not to do when they're breastfeeding because it can impact their milk, like a decongestant, like Sudafed. That can dry up milk. Cabbage leaves are good for helping to reduce inflammation and engorgement. And you could take the cabbage leaves and kind of use a rolling pin and soften them up and stick them in the refrigerator and put them on your breasts. Cold compresses, frozen peas, or something that will actually, you can ice up and put on your breast. One of the things that I've been recommending a lot lately is the Rachel's remedies, and you can use them either hot or cold.
Yeah. Rachel's remedies are incredible.
They're great. And you can use them either for moist heat if you're trying to pump and get milk out, but you can also stick them in the freezer. And then those will mold to your breast a little bit better than just like a hard ice pack. They're like flaxseed inside. So that's ice packs on your breast. And then, just if you're really uncomfortable, allow yourself to hand express a little bit of milk just to ease the engorgement slightly, but don't pump, because all it's going to do is keep your milk coming. And this is if you decide that you're not going to donate milk. My sister actually had a loss many years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and she thought that, and I remember this was unexpected, and she lost the baby at around 26 weeks, 27 weeks. And I remember she thought she would express and donate milk. And so for the first day or two, she tried to do that. But it was too hard on her. It was too painful to continue. And there was something about seeing the breast milk, and it brought a lot of emotion up for her.
Yeah.
That milk was meant for. And even though you're donating, and I know your story too, and you're donating organs, and it's amazing. It may be emotional for you, and it may be, so you'll have to wait and see. It'll be a decision that you make in the moment. And what I wanted to say to you was, after the show's over, I want Jamie to give you my contact. Let's be in contact with each other. I want to support you personally. So after you have the baby, if you would like my help, whether it's to help you dry up the milk, talk about it, or if you're going to be pumping and donating and want to talk about it, I'll be here for you.
Or if you just want to talk about it.
I'll be here for you. So that's my offer, and it's completely up to you. No, anything you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we're sending you so much love.
Yes. Yeah. So Heather, my son just turned 7 months, and he has been trying out different foods for about a month now. He never eats more than a few bits before he doesn't want any more. I always nurse him beforehand to make sure he gets the nutrition from my breast milk. But even with me doing this, my supply is going down. He still nurses a lot at night too. What can I do to make sure my supply stays up?
Okay, so I guess what I'm thinking as you're reading that is, why do you want your supply to be up? I mean, if your baby's starting to actually eat food and you see your supply going down, and you're actually saying that you're nursing before the feedings, which is good. You're offering breast milk before the food. The baby's getting plenty of breast milk. And then, of course, eating solids, which is how old's the baby?
7 months.
Yeah. So, totally appropriate for the baby to be starting and eating foods. I would expect your supply to start going down. And as a matter of fact, the first half of the year is when you're making more milk. After the baby starts solid, you actually make less milk overall in the 24-hour period, because some of that is being taken up with the solid foods. The baby's not eating as much milk as they were beforehand. So the fear of like, my milk supply is going down because the baby's eating, your breasts are adjusting to what the baby is actually needing. So there's really no issue. You're doing it right. If you said to me, well, I stuffed the baby full of food and then the baby's not hungry to nurse, I'd say that'd be a problem. But it doesn't sound like she's doing that at all. And so the milk supply dropping a little is fine. Usually you'll see that happen, and you'll actually think, oh, your breasts will probably go back to their normal size or somewhere near that. You'll probably need new bras right after the baby starts eating some solid foods, because the breasts do go down in size when you stop making as much. Totally fine.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That question, it does come up a lot. It comes up a lot about like the introduction of solids and ratio to solids to breast milk, and where are they getting the nutrients from, and is it enough?
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I feel it's monthly for us. So
yeah, and they do need to start eating solids. And a lot of people talk about like it's food before one's just for fun. It's not just for fun. And so
it's building up the musculature and their ability to chew.
it's an important aspect, just like the breast milk is still important too. And so offering breast milk first, yes. Allowing the babies to start playing with the food, touching the food, exploring foods, different tastes, different sensations, different textures, all super important. And then, like Jamie said, learning to use those muscles of mastication. Is that what it's called?
Mastication, yes.
I could really screw up on that word, huh?
Yes, you could. Speaking of, Abigail, how can you be sure the baby is getting enough milk?
Okay. I just did a consultation today. Actually, Skype consult. Lady down in Alabama who reached out, and we did a consultation today about and the truth was that everything was fine. And she was weighing her baby before and after feedings, and she was listening to a bunch of lactation consultants and a pediatrician who was saying that her baby needed to eat 2 ounces at every feeding. Now, what a terrible thing to tell a breastfeeding mom. Now go home and make sure the baby gets 2 ounces at every feeding, because how the heck would you ever be able to tell?
Your breasts don't have like the gradient ounces on their skin?
No. And if you were meant to know, right, we always say that, you'd have a little lever on your breast that would tell you empty and full. And you don't need to know. And I think that was like the biggest disservice that anybody can do, is to tell you, this is how much you should be feeding your baby at the breast. Well, what are you going to wind up doing? You're going to either do one of two things. You're going to either get so nuts where you're going to go get a scale and start weighing every feeding and then wonder, is that even right? Or you're going to start pumping so you can see it to give it to your baby in a bottle, which, again, not the answer. So here's how you know your baby gets enough. And it has nothing to do with ounces, okay, or the quantity of milk going in. It's more about other signs. So there's 4 things, and I have a program, with the Evenflo Feeding pump. Both of my breastfeeding programs come with the pump. I also sell the pump on my website, not the pump.
The classes.
I sell the classes on my website, but the pump does come with the classes for free. And the class describes the 4 ways that you know that your baby got enough. And the first way is, before every single feeding, get in the habit of feeling your breast. Just like you put the baby on, you feel the breast a little bit. It's just a quick, like, does the breast feel full? When the baby eats, after the baby's done eating, feel your breast again. If it feels softer and you're not soaking wet with milk like it went somewhere else, it went in the baby. Okay? Yeah. In the baby. It's very simple, I know, but it was there and now it's gone. Okay. That's the first sign. Second sign is, when the baby's eating, you're going to be listening for audible swallows. Now, we talk about the way they move their jaw and that they have a certain look to their jaw. They could do that till the cows come home. And if you don't hear swallowing, there's no milk transfer. No pun intended. Mm-hmm. Okay. You need to hear the swallow, and the swallow is a very special sound in the throat. It sounds like okay, and the baby's swallowing, and if you listen carefully, you'll hear it. That swallowing means that there is milk transferring to the baby. That's the second sign. The third sign is the very quantifiable. This is the part. If you want to count something, this is what you do. Wet diapers. All right. So if you're getting pee-pee diapers every day and you're getting at least 6 to 8 wet diapers a day in a 24-hour period, something's going in and it's enough. And the baby's hydrated and there ain't no emergency. Right. Today with this lady who was, who was really very stressed out, about the fact that her baby was not eating enough. When I asked her how much her baby was peeing, she told me 11 wet diapers a day. It's a lot. And
then that baby's nailing it. Come on.
I was just so happy to hear everything she was describing, because even though I had to tell her that everything's great, like, here's the good news. Like, this is what you'd rather me say, is like, everything's really good except the advice you got. And that's the only thing that's really wrong here, is the bad advice. And So I feel like she's really on a path right now back to feeling less stressed, and I'm happy that that happened. But yeah, 6 to 8 wet diapers in a 24-hour period. And then the last thing is the baby satisfied after the feedings, the baby not continuing to cry and cry and cry. And that's a hard one because not all crying has to do with hunger. And so just because the baby's crying doesn't mean the baby's still hungry. And a good test for that would be like the baby falls asleep at the breast and you're like, okay, I'm done. You take the baby off, you burp the baby, and then the baby starts to cry. And you put the baby back to the breast and the baby falls back asleep again. Okay, that's a really good sign that it's probably not hunger, because a hungry baby will not sleep. They will continue to cry and suck and be angry. But what's happening is they're going back. They want to be comforted. They want to be held. They want that feeling of feeling swaddled, which is what you're doing when you are nursing. You're holding them tight. You're putting that pressure on their body, and they want that. And so I would just, get a good swaddling blanket. I did a whole show on Love to Dream on Saturday night. We talked about the swaddle up, and I know you love them too. I've seen you in one. Mm-hmm. And having something that's going to help to soothe your baby is super important, to know that it's not hunger. It's not continued to be hunger, right? But it might be hunger again frequently. Babies can eat every hour and a half to 2 hours. And so it's not that they're still hungry, they're hungry again.
Yeah.
And that's normal.
Sensible. Daniela has a question. I have a 2-month-old baby and I just went back to school. I've noticed in the past 2 weeks he doesn't want to latch on and my breast doesn't fill up like they used to when he was first born. I'm also supplementing with formula while I'm at school, but other than that, I try to breastfeed as often as I can. Do you have any recommendations to help me latch him on, or anything I can do to bring my milk supply up?
Well, I think the first thought I have is, if you're supplementing with formula while you're gone, 2 things are happening. One is you're probably not pumping while you're away from your baby, which is going to decrease your supply. So if you want to bring your supply back up, then pumping while you're away from the baby is going to be critical to maintaining. Remember what we talked about just a few minutes ago, which is when the breast fills up, it gives a big signal to the brain to make less milk overall. And so when you go long stretches, maybe you're going 5-6 hours or 7, I don't know how long she's going without pumping, it's actually allowing her breast to get really, really full, and that's sending a signal, make less. So pumping even one time while you're away from the baby would be a very good suggestion to increase supply. The other part of the question is about the baby, right? The baby's not taking the bottle. Baby's not taking the breast when she comes. Yeah. Part of that could be just 2 things. Could be that the baby's being overfed with formula, like too much food, where the baby's not hungry by the time you get home. And the other thing is, could be that the baby is being fed too fast with the bottle, and not the feedings are not being paced or slowed down to the baby's speed. And that could make the baby irritated when at the breast, when it's not flowing as fast. So those are 2 things I would do, is make sure that whoever, it's your husband who's feeding the baby the formula. I don't remember.
What? Sorry, I was reading questions.
Whoever's feeding the baby the formula needs to slow down the feeding and pace those feedings, and do them much slower, do less of it, and she needs to start pumping a little bit while she's gone to maintain her supply. That's going to be my best suggestion.
Okay. Haley has a question. I finished a prescription of Diflucan a week ago, but I am having a burning/ache feeling still a couple times a day. Normal, or possibly still needing more medication?
Yeah. It's possible that she still needs more medication. The thrush.
And what is that medication for, Shari?
What is the Diflucan for? The Diflucan is an antifungal that works against yeast in the breast. So moms can develop breast infections that are yeast infections. They're fungal infections. They're not bacterial. And unfortunately, they often get misdiagnosed as bacterial or mastitis. And then you're prescribed antibiotics for something that is the opposite of what you want to take antibiotics for. It's the antibiotics will actually make it 10 times worse. So you have to make sure that you're being diagnosed properly. Okay. Yeast can feel like, very sore, very red nipples, like very, very pink nipples. It can also be throughout the breast, which is what she's describing here, which feels more like a shooting, stabbing pain in the breast, typically between feedings, not like during the feeding, but between. You'll get this shooting, stabbing pain. Sometimes the baby will show signs of yeast in their mouth, which is like thrush in the mouth. And it happens often when moms have been medicated with antibiotics in labor, like if they have group E strep, and so they're getting, IV antibiotics in labor, or if they've been through a C-section, they typically have, prophylactic antibiotics during the C-section. Those kind of things can cause yeast to grow. And Diflucan is a medication that works pretty well, but a lot of the yeast strains out there right now are really resistant. And so just like our antibiotic resistant stuff. So some of them are just not responding that well to the Diflucan. Or if they do respond, they need much longer courses of therapy. When you use Diflucan, this is where there's a problem. I just thought of it. Diflucan's also used for vaginal yeast infections. And what happens is when you prescribe Diflucan for vaginal yeast infections, remember I was a midwife too, so you're giving a one-time dose of Diflucan typically for vaginal yeast. And so if you go to your OB and you say, I need Diflucan, very often they're prescribing a one-day dose when you need a 2-week dose. And sometimes a 4-week dose of Diflucan to treat breast yeast infections. So that could be it, is that she's just being prescribed the wrong quantity of Diflucan. You need it over a long course of time. It's at least 2 weeks. And I've seen people who need it 2 weeks and then have to repeat another 2 weeks. Plus you have to do other things. It's not just the Diflucan. You have to treat yourself in other ways. Like yeast grows really strongly. It grows on your bras. It grows on your breast pads. If they're washable pads, they have to be washed frequently, like every day in hot water. You have to clean everything, like pacifiers. And as you're treating yourself, you may need to treat the baby too. You need to stay away from sugars. Okay, sugar feeds the yeast. So you've got to kind of take on a whole regimen. It's not just about medicating so that the medicine can work.
Well, let's really quick. This is kind of an offshoot of that. There were several people that were asking what is the easiest way and the most effective way to clean breast pump parts? And how often should you really clean? So let's address that.
Yeah. And it all depends on where you are. So like if you're at work all day, I always tell people don't clean them when you're at work. It takes too much time. You don't need to do it. You can throw them into a wet bag or a Ziploc bag. Throw them into their cooler with your milk. So if the parts have milk on them, and then you cool the parts with the pumped milk, and wait till the next time you pump and just use it again, that milk is refrigerated. That's on there, so it's fine. And then you don't have to wash your parts till you actually get home in the evening. You can rinse your parts, hot soapy water. You can throw them into the dishwasher and wash them that way. I would say once a day is all that really needs to be done. Otherwise, if you're home and you're pumping, just rinse them. It's very hard to grow bacteria in the presence of breast milk. I just posted did you see that picture that was circulating? You were busy this week, but everybody was circulating this picture. I put it up on my wall. It was like a science experiment these kids did with Petri dishes. And there was like bacteria in the Petri dishes, and they dropped breast milk into the center, and you saw how it just kills all the bacteria. It really does. Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean
I've used breast milk on everything. I've used it on zits. I've used it on the pink eye. I got pink eye a few years back, and it was when Jennifer was still nursing, and she was expressing to a thing, and what other brother would put his sister's breast milk in his eye? I don't know. But I was like, go for it. And I was putting breast milk in my eye, and then a hot rag. And that's, you can't really do anything for pink eye except for like antibiotics and keeping it clean.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was just like, breast milk, hot rag, wash it, new rag. Like,
Totally.
it was a lot.
No, totally. It works. It really works. It works on your baby when your babies have blocked tear ducts and gook in their eye. You can use breast milk for a lot of things, especially in the eyes. But yeah, I would say once a day. Main thing is be really careful with all the small parts, like the little, like the pump has like different. So let's talk about that for a second on cleaning, because we started to mention earlier there are a few features that we look for in all breast pumps.
Yes.
That we.
What a segue this was.
Very good, very very good. So pick that one up. Okay, so. There are 3 features that I always recommend when it comes to choosing a breast pump, okay? And for all you guys who've been watching, you can start posting them right now. We'd like to hear, you all know the answers to this, and anyone who's new.
Yes, hearts if you know. Yes. If you know what the 3 features are, heart the crap out of it.
Because we've never talked about it, but here's the thing. So super important, because you're choosing these pumps. And you kind of, when you're first time mom, you don't know what to look for. You're not thinking like, what's the most important features? Maybe you're thinking it's the bag. How pretty is the bag? Or maybe you're thinking, it's got some it's got some app that goes with it, or like as if those are the things that are going to make your pump more functional. That's not true, or maybe you're thinking, well, the most expensive one out there has to be the best. And it's not necessarily true. All right. So I'm going to show you the 3 things. One was what we talked about earlier, which was obviously the independent speed and suction controls. If you want to get those multiple letdowns like you saw in the video and be able to use that 3-stage pumping system, you're going to need independent speed and suction controls. Number 1. Okay. Number 2 is that the pump comes with multiple flange sizes, and that's the part that goes up against your breast, okay? That this will actually fit different sizes. The Evenflo Feeding pump comes with 3 different sizes included with the pump, because you can't measure this. It's not like fitting a bra. It's not like somebody can go take a tape measure and say, oh, what size am I? You don't know till you try it out, and it could be that you need a different size on each breast, or as you continue to pump, a couple months go by and you need a different size. And if you're not wearing the right one, it's going to hurt and it's going to not get the milk out. So what good is the pump if it's not going to get the milk out? That's what this is for. So that's important.
I ask myself that every day. What good is the pump if it's not going to get the milk out?
What good is it?
What good is it?
And then the third thing, which brings up the whole cleaning process, okay, is the pump staying clean? Is it an open or is it a closed system? Okay, open or closed. Here's the difference. With a closed system, okay, there is a little barrier. See this little diaphragm? It goes in here, and then this whole thing is sealed off, okay? It's a vacuum system. This tubing clicks on, and now when you pump and milk's going in this hole and down into the bottle, it can never get into your tubing, which means there's nothing dirty going on in the tubing. When you go to wash your parts, you're just taking that off. You're not washing this. You don't want to get water in it. You're just washing your parts. With an open system, it's more like this, like the tube is plugged directly behind where the milk is flowing. And yes, it can splash and get milk into the tubing, and you need to be washing those tubes as well. So it does create more to clean and more to monitor, because you can't scrub inside of here, inside this tube. So it can grow mold, it can grow bacteria, which then can contaminate your milk, and it can also get sucked right into the motor, which then is completely not able to be cleaned. I have a little video, a side by side. I'm going to show them. Just because I'm really enjoying doing the video, Jamie, because I can.
Oh, listen, this stuff is so nerdy. I love it.
I'm going to show you a little side-by-side video of open and closed side-by-side. Hold on a second.
You're going to watch a video of me eating Sour Patch Kids.
You guys can see here that the one that says closed, there's no milk inside that tubing. But when you look at the one that says open, milk can actually suck into that tube because there is no barrier. Should I play that again right here?
You are muted.
No.
You were muted the whole time.
Yeah, but I pushed the space bar. You couldn't hear me?
Nope.
Are you sure?
I couldn't hear you one bit.
You might not have been able to hear me, but I think they did. Ask them. I think they could.
Could y'all hear Shari, or was I just crazy? Oh, you were muted.
Okay, so what I was saying, it's supposed to work. When I push the space bar, it's supposed to work that I can talk, so I was doing that. I guess it didn't work. What I was saying, oh, see, I could hear Shari, but not Jamie.
Elise.
There you go. Thanks, Elise. No, so what I was saying was that the one that was closed had no milk into the tubing, even though there was heavy letdown going on right there. The one that said open there was milk sucking into the tube because there's no barrier. So that was just a good visual. See, and they can hear me. Jamie, listen, when there's a video playing, if you want to talk over the video, put your finger on the space bar and hold it down.
All right.
And then you can talk. I forgot to tell you that. But the motions, Evenflo Feeding saying, but the motions were fabulous. They were, I was like, oh, what is...
Try my best.
All right. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me fix the screen's not sharing right. Hold on. There you go. It was fun watching you. I was like, uh-oh, what happened?
You all manner of stuff, like, you are muted. Okay. Man, oh man. Oh, this is actually really good. So Lindsay Speck, she writes, I have a ton of frozen breast milk from my pumping days. My kiddo is 18 months old and we are done nursing and pumping. What's the best way to use my leftover milk? I will die if I have to toss it. Can I just thaw and put it in a sippy cup she drinks cold? Is that weird? Should I use it to make pancakes for her or make a smoothie? Any ideas are welcome.
Yeah, definitely don't toss it. I know a lot of moms who continue to feed their toddlers even after they stop breastfeeding at the breast.
My nieces drank it.
Yeah, continue to drink. And I actually know a lot of moms who will pump, like, so say you have a toddler who's already weaned and then you have a newborn, a new baby. If you have any extra milk, to give a little bit of extra to the toddler in a cup, it has the antibodies that are going to help to protect that child from illness. So it's totally great to continue as long as possible, and in a sippy cup is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Make the pancakes. Make
oatmeal. Some lady said oatmeal.
Absolutely. And then if you really have a ton of milk, the other thing you can do with that milk, and I think Denine's here, right, Joe? Yeah. Denine's donating milk, and maybe she has the answer to this, but I believe that you can use your frozen milk if it's less than 10 months old. You can contact the milk banks and you can donate that frozen milk. You'll still have to go through all the screening process and everything, to make sure everything's okay. But if you have a lot of milk, I would donate it. And feed it to your child. I mean, you don't have to donate. It depends on how fast it's gonna go bad, but you could do a lot with it.
How long, Stacy has a question. How long should I wait before pumping and presenting the bottle so that my husband can feed?
How long? Say that one more time.
How long should I wait before pumping and presenting the bottle so that my husband can feed?
So you're going to hear a lot of conflicting information regarding, how long to wait before introducing your baby to a bottle. And I'm going to tell you that to do it sooner rather than later. So what that means, and what I mean by that is, if you wait, let's say this, for a lot of moms who wait like just even 3 weeks to introduce their baby to a bottle, many of those babies will not take a bottle. It can become very difficult. They become very conditioned to whatever nipple they're on, and they start to develop a preference for the breast, obviously, and will struggle with the bottle and not want it. And that's going to be really hard if you're going back to work. So I recommend somewhere around 1 to 2 weeks. Now, I know that's early, but I've not, when done properly, like what I teach in my class, which is, waiting till the baby is exclusive, breastfeeding with no problems. The milk supply is fully, your milk has fully come in. You're not having any issues, and you have a baby that loves to latch and is eating and gaining weight and peeing and pooping and doing everything. Pumping just a tiny little bit once a day, like half an ounce, and introducing that to the baby once a day. And we're not talking about pumping a whole bottle or supplementing a whole feeding, not at all. I don't even recommend doing that for the first 6 weeks, not supplementing a full feeding for the first 6 weeks. But just giving that little half an ounce in the bottle and then finishing the baby at the breast, but doing it early from like the first 1 to 2 weeks after the delivery, if everything's going well. You will, and don't give up. Like, lots of people will do that, and then they're like, oh, the baby takes a bottle, and then they wait several weeks to try again, and the baby rejects it. So you keep that going. You're consistent with it. The baby will continue to take a bottle for you. So it's pretty early, and dad's going to be happy to be able to have that little bit of feeding time. It's not going to be much because it's going to be a very small, we're talking like half an ounce looks like that. Okay, that's what I'm talking about with giving the baby in a bottle. And then that's going to be, after that, you're going to put the baby to the breast to finish. Waiting too long is usually the reason why moms will say, my baby won't take a bottle.
Speaking of bottles, I happen to have one right here.
Yeah.
This is the Evenflo Balance Plus. I'm a big fan. I know, everybody's digging it. Dawn, my friend that works with, she's a feeding specialist here. I'll let her play with it. But you will notice you can get a hell of a latch on this.
Look at that nice flange lips.
My lips are open.
Yeah. That looks awesome, Jamie. That's a latch to be proud of.
Just saying. Let me see. Carmen has a good one, and she's got a really fresh baby, so this will be good. Carmen wants to know, is cluster feeding really a thing? My baby born on Valentine's never seems to be satisfied, and I'm worried my supply will never be enough.
Baby was born on Valentine's Day, so just last week. So like a 1 week old. Yeah.
Less than 1.
Yeah, cluster feeding is definitely a thing, but that's like normal feeding in the first week. They do eat very frequently. They eat very small amounts. Let's look at that for a second in the bottles here. I just showed you that half an ounce, right? Mm-hmm. I want to show you how much your baby's actually eating in the bottle. So you can see that the baby needs to take in very small feedings, but more frequently, more often. That's the cluster feeding in the first week. I wouldn't even call it cluster feeding. It's just normal newborn feeding, because this is day 1. Okay. This is what they're eating. It's like little tiny bit of colostrum. Okay. That's the first day. That's how much milk they actually get. Oh, I'm going to the wrong spot. There we go. Okay. And then day 3, the amount that they're taking per feeding is about a half an ounce. It's a very small amount. And so her baby's just going from this to around this, which is about 1.5 ounces. This is day 10. And this is all approximate. Believe me, again, it's not about measuring the milk. I'm trying to show you approximate amounts that you'll be feeding at each feeding. So the baby's going to eat this little small amount, and then it digests very quickly, and then they're hungry again. And so a very young babies are going to eat very often. And then cluster feeding is a very real thing as the baby grows older, especially when they go through growth spurts and they need to eat more frequently. And they're doing that thing that I was telling you to do with the pump, which is pumping frequently, right? They're feeding frequently to increase supply and keep the breast drained. This is the full feeding, and I wanted you guys all to see this because I think this is always a really great visual for people to see. This is a full feeding of milk. This is 4 ounces. This is how much a breastfed baby eats, and really it does not increase much more than that the entire year. And so those big bottles that you see and you think you're going to fill up, that's not a normal feeding. This is a normal feeding for a breastfed baby. Surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Surprising, for sure.
Because you see the big ones, and people don't understand that, like, if you're using formula, you have to feed more formula for caloric intake and whatnot. But breast milk changes over the course to give you exactly what you need in your breast milk at that volume.
Breast milk is constantly changing to meet the needs of the baby. It does not need to change in volume. And like we said before, it actually decreases in volume as the year goes on because you're starting to introduce solid foods while the feedings do not increase at all. So you're not going to need to make more and more and more. And so if you're feeling stressed out, like, you're just starting out, everything's going fine right now, but what do I do when the baby's 8 months old and 9 months old and I need these big bottles? You don't. And, and if you're putting your baby in daycare and they're feeding babies formula in daycare and they're comparing what you're giving the baby to what they're giving the baby, it's not a good comparison. It's not apples to apples.
Yeah.
It's not apples to apples. You've got to really educate your care providers. You got it, whether it's a daycare, whether it's a grandma, whoever's watching the baby, because if they keep overfeeding, and that goes back to the paced feedings and making sure we're not overfeeding with the bottle, it's very easy to overfeed a baby with a bottle. And then you're left with, I don't make enough milk. I can't pump enough to keep up with the baby, what they're eating. But the truth is they're being overfed.
Yeah. I was just looking at some comments here. And one lady said that she has learned more tonight by watching this and reading the comments than she has from any LC, and she has seen many LCs. So that's nice.
It's very nice. I'm very happy she's here. I'm very happy. And the great news is that we do this every single month here. And you can post your questions. And for those of you guys who know, we do answer as many as we possibly can. There's a lot that comes in. And in between, you can come over and I do live streams weekly.
Yeah.
I'm on a lot right now, and I'm doing a lot of live streams. I do answer a lot of questions. And if you really need support, like my viewer today who reached out and scheduled a consultation with me, and I do that too.
Yeah. So make sure you are following her page as well. It is linked in the caption for this video. And then one lady, I'm going to have to scroll back up. She's due March 5th. I had a friend recommend self-expressing and saving colostrum in a syringe ahead of time, just in case they don't latch well at first. Do you recommend that?
Not really. I mean, you could. Either way, it's going to be okay. I think that you can always hand express a little colostrum if they don't latch onto a little spoon and just pour it in the baby's mouth. To sit and try to express milk out prior to the delivery. Is that what she's talking about? Prior to if you're leaking and you want to catch it, then go ahead. But I wouldn't actively sit there hand expressing milk or pumping unless you're trying to stimulate your contractions, which it will. That might help. The thing is that pumping colostrum doesn't really work very well. The colostrum is very thick and sticky and small amounts, and it kind of sticks to the flange and to the bottle. And what you're left with is like you can't really scrape it off the bottle. There's someone here who's telling me, Alyssa, Used to go to my store in Denville when she lived in New Jersey and she had her babies, but now 6 years later, I'm having another baby, but live in Florida now and follow Jamie, and I'm so excited to see. What is the? Oh, you're just shocked. You're so excited to see you again through follow. Yeah, here I am. I'm not in my store. Hi, Alyssa.
Um, I'm like, what time is it right now? It's 5 after. Let's go for a few more minutes.
Sure.
And then we'll call it a February.
Everybody's still hanging out. It's pretty active still. They're pretty interested. So.
Let's do a round of hearts real quick.
Definitely.
Just because the world needs it. We're just gonna live our lives here.
You know what, Jamie? I have something really good for them. A couple weeks ago, I did a really good live stream on my best pumping tips for Evenflo, and I have a really great thing put together for my best pumping tips. Can Joe post the link so that people can get it?
Yeah. Post the link.
All right, he'll pin it, or you don't have to pin it, I guess.
Yeah, post it.
It's really good. It'll give everybody kind of, and it has some, I think it has some, oh, it has my video on flange fit inside of it too.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, which is one that we didn't show tonight. So that would be really helpful for everybody. It just has some really, a lot of the stuff we went over tonight, plus some other things that were just really like the most basic, but just the most important aspects of pumping and tips for pumping. I've been taking a lot of the live streams and creating notes out of them because there's so much content that people are like afterwards, if they don't sit there and write, they need something to look at. So I've been converting my notes into notes for them.
Yeah. Let me just ask you a question.
Yeah.
What would you say, because I know that there are some people here who are early in pregnancy or, getting ready to deliver or whatever. What would you say are like 3 tips for parents before the baby comes to help prepare them for breastfeeding?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if I had to narrow it down to my 3 most important tips.
Or whatever.
Yeah, or just 3 really good tips to get you most prepared. A couple times we mentioned tonight that the advice, even sometimes from the people who should be the experts, is not necessarily the advice that was as good as it could have been. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is waiting to get to the hospital to learn how to breastfeed or learn everything you need to know. Thinking that, and this is so common and it's understandable. You're pregnant, you're thinking, just get me through the birth. Then I'll worry about the rest. Like, I just need to focus on my childbirth classes and, getting through the delivery, and then I'll figure out breastfeeding and everybody will help me after. It's such a big mistake. If you're expecting and you're watching this right now, you've done yourself such a favor just from being here for an hour. And so I guess one of my biggest tips would be to take a breastfeeding class. And my class is available, like I said, if you just get one of the Evenflo Feeding pumps, any of the pumps, even like their little single electrics, their manual pumps, it comes with Simply Breastfeeding. It's just the one class that I would watch is at Simply Breastfeeding. It'll give you so much of the information I gave you tonight was from my class, and there's more. And there's more. And understanding your body and understanding how milk is produced and understanding what a good latch looks like and having that confidence is going to be critical for afterwards. And if anybody's watched the classes and are in the chat room right now, I want to hear my students speaking up right now and talking about it. But that's one thing. The other thing is, the one place to not skimp out is on the things that you're going to need, the products that you'll need for breastfeeding. And, lots of people say, oh, you don't need anything but your breasts. And that's true. The milk is free. Okay. The milk is free. And really all you need is the baby in the breast, literally to breastfeed. But there are other things that you're going to need and have ready for yourself before your baby comes. One of them is going to be your pump. And a lot of moms are getting their pumps through insurance. And you can, that stream that I was talking about, I actually interviewed Better Living Now that was talking about how to get their insurance pump. It's really good. We have another episode coming up.
And I think really quick, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand too, is they go automatically to their insurance.
Yes.
Don't go to your insurance.
Don't go to your insurance. Don't go to your insurance.
They will be the middleman to help you get a pump.
Yep. It's good advice. It's not the place to go. Your first thought would be call my insurance company. It's not the greatest advice because lots of times they don't know where to send you. They're sending you to whatever, medical distributors written down there. It's not the only ones that accept it. Then you're limited. I can't tell you. They were telling me that how many times that they've had moms call up, but they called their insurance first and a pump showed up at their door. Not even the pump they wanted because it triggered an order. And what you don't want is you don't want to take that control away from yourself of which pump you want. So first call one of the national DMEs or, a DME that carries the pump that you're looking for. Give them your insurance information. And they told me that you can actually do that at any point during your pregnancy. You can actually call. They can look up exactly what you're eligible for. They can help you with it. You can get your prescription. And then everything sits there ready for you. In the third trimester, you can trigger they can then send it. So even if you do it sooner and get it out of the way, everything's all ready. So if you deliver a little early, you can call them up and say, I just delivered. I need you to send my pump. Yeah. And everything's already taken care of. So that's one thing.
And DMEs are also free.
Yeah, they're free through the insurance. Yeah. Yeah, and if they're not free, or you're not getting coverage, and I've heard this a lot lately, or your insurance company tells you that they only cover a single electric, okay? When that's not true either, the insurance companies do not dictate what kind of pump or what brand of pump you get. What they're dictating is how much they will reimburse. And so when you're looking at certain brands, it would only cover the single electric. But then you go and you look at the Evenflo and what you might only get for the single electric in another brand, you're getting the nice pump with the 3 flange sizes and the classes and everything that goes with it. And it may be that it's fully covered. Like they were saying something like the single electric moms, they only have coverage for, I don't know, $150, which
that's more than that pump cost.
Right. So yeah. It's really important to understand what they're saying. So that's just one more. And then the other thing I guess I would say, so have the stuff that you need available, including your nursing bras. Okay. I have a whole thing on nursing bras too. You want to get your bras before you deliver, not after. Trust me, you don't want to be standing in a dressing room, leaking milk with a crying baby, trying to get bras. You need them beforehand, and there is a way to fit them. And I have more information on that too. I have one of those sheets. I have another notes from that live stream as well. We can share with you guys if we want. But the last thing would be get your partner involved. Mm-hmm. I think the number one, and I think this has actually been proven and studied, is the number one thing that leads to lack of success with breastfeeding is not having a support system. Yeah. Whether it's mainly a supportive partner who's going to say, hey, you know what, you can do this. I took that class with you. I understand too. Yes, your latch looks good. I mean, literally, I teach moms and dads. And so they need to watch the class with you. They need to be on the same page. They need to understand just as much as when you're talking about birth and you're saying, these are my desires for the birth and I need you to be my partner and I need you to hold that space for me and really, listen to what I'm asking for. It's the same thing when it comes to breastfeeding. You come home, you're exhausted, you're tired, you've either just gone through a delivery or you've gone through a surgery and a C-section, and breastfeeding can be frustrating and hard in the beginning. It's not easy. It's not easy in the beginning, but it's not really that easy for anybody. It's normal for it to not be easy in a way. And so you need someone who's going to be really supportive and not say, hey, why are you even doing this? Just give the baby formula.
Yep.
I guess those are my 3.
That's a good 3.
Good 3. For springing it on me.
True. Well, it's 8:15. We've been going an hour and 15 minutes.
It just flies with you, Jamie.
Yeah,
I could talk to you all night.
so we often do.
I know. When we're together, it goes long. It
Yeah,
goes long. There's a lot of there's a lot that goes on after the show.
yes. We do like we have the wine and we post-mortem and we get nerdy about our jobs and it's
We can
good.
we can just flow in that for it's like swimming in the river there.
Yeah. It's like when you go tubing and you just want to sit and enjoy it.
And we're just side by side tubing down the river.
Hmm.
It's such a great analogy and a great visual. I miss you, and I wish I was with you.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we have this where we can, even if we can't be together, it feels like we're together. And I think everybody else feels like they've spent the night with us as they
Yeah.
usually do when we are together.
And it's fun too. I mean, we've talked about this because like with this software, normally when we're doing Facebook, we're like looking at each other like this. And now I can actually look at you in the face.
I know. I think
So-
I have a feeling that even when we're together, we're going to go in opposite rooms and do this anyway. I'll be sitting in, we'll be in two different rooms looking at each other on the screen. Oh,
Oh man. Well, thank all of you for hanging out. Make sure you've liked this video. Make sure you go follow Shari's Facebook. Make sure you're following Evenflo. Make sure you heart, like, whatever weird little Facebook reaction you feel you need for this. And we will see you at some point in March.
yeah, we'll figure
Yeah.
it out. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
going to be in person or like this, but it seems like it's okay either way.
Yeah.
The beauty of it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Evenflo Feeding.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Elise, for being here. We love you guys.
Mhm.
And thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Mwah.